Okay, hey guys. Just to lead off of that conversation we're just having in our prep, I'm proud. I don't think anyone's really sworn on this channel. We were talking about swear words just before we went live. And I'm not going to now, don't. I mean, someone catch me if I start to. But yeah, I think it's good. But how are you guys? How's your day going, Mike Biddle? I was to say Michael.
Yeah, right. No one calls me Michael. Only my mother does. So yeah, no, getting that time of year where we can get out and get a few golf rounds before have to start working. I'm on the West Coast, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
the same.
lush.
Yeah, it's. I'm in sunny, beautiful California. It's sunny most of the year. Today's an exceptional day as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
I'm so jealous. We've got a heat wave going on in England. It's like it was 19 degrees Celsius. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, but it was hot yesterday, and I
yeah.
actually bought a new winter coat. So the irony really sunk in when I was carrying it home and was boiling. So that was quite fun. But yeah, okay, let's crack into it, guys. So welcome everyone to the Keys to AWS Optimization, the show where we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock your spend at AWS. My name is Stephanie Gooch, and I am a commercial architect at AWS, and I focus on all things cost, cloud financial management, FinOps, whatever you want to call it, for telco in EMEA.
Yeah, hi everyone. Michael Biddle. I've been with AWS for about 9 years. I'm a principal architect focusing on cost optimization and supporting our public sector customers. So if it involves money, time savings, whatever, I've probably seen something with it and happy to chat with you about it.
Yeah. And I'm Venky Nagapudi. I'm a principal product manager with the EBS Snapshots team. I've been with AWS for the last 2.5 years, mainly focusing on the core of snapshots. We are a multi-billion-dollar business, and I head up all the product management for our team. In particular, I'm focused on things like data protection, cost optimization, and we'll talk more about some of the products that we released and reinvent that relate to all of these things. So yeah, happy to be here talking to you all.
Great, and we're happy to have you.
Yeah, before we dive into things, Steph, we want to take a quick moment to thank everyone who watches the channel and gives us engagement and feedback. We've recently found out that we're one of the most highest engaged shows on the AWS Switch platform, and it's all because of folks like you that watch and ask us all your questions and participate. So we all learn from each other, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We appreciate everyone watching, and whether that is live right now or on YouTube, you can check us out on our YouTube channel, Keys to AWS Optimization there. And all of our past shows are on there. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz on there. And yeah, shout out to all of you guys who get in contact. Anytime anybody messages the email address, which is costoptimization@amazon.com. Always nice to see people get in contact. Shout out to James, who messaged us about wanting to hear about a new release that Amazon just announced the other day, which we're going to be doing in season 4. So with that top of mind, if you have a suggestion of something that you would like us to cover on the show, something you're really interested in, something you want to know more about in a deeper level or a higher level, or if you want to come on the show and tell us, how do you do it? What are your best practices? What have you seen work well? What have you seen not work so well? We would really like to have you. We're planning season 4 at the moment. So get in touch and we can get started with that. So 2 little announcements before I jump in. Number 1, I'm going to bring it up every week until it happens. I'm at the summit. Come see me. Come say hi. Come to my talk. It's going to be the Cloud Ops talk. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm already nervous, but looking forward to seeing some friendly faces. So come and say hi after that. So sign up there. It's free to go. And the other thing is that the FinOps Foundation, the UK meetup, which I helped create, a few years ago now, is meeting next Monday, and I will be there. So check out the link, the meetup FinOps UK, if you want to come say hi then and chat about some FinOps stuff. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into our main topic for today, snapshots. We did do an episode of Snapshots 2 weeks ago with John, who you guys have seen a couple of times. If you want to check that out, that was a kind of level 100 talk to 300 about snapshots, what they are, and how you can optimize the kind of basics. But with Venky today, we're going to go into some deeper conversations. But to kind of set the scene, Venky, do you want to cover a little bit of background, so what a snapshot is, before we get started?
Yeah, definitely. So EBS snapshots are point-in-time backups of EBS volumes, and if you're using compute today from AWS, you need some high-performance storage that's attached to the compute so that your applications can store the data, or use images, let's say, for OS operating system images to boot up the applications. Those come from EBS volumes. Now you want to not protect your EBS volumes. So if you have mission critical and business critical data, you might want to take backups of these volumes every so often, and that's when you would use an EBS snapshot to take a instantaneous backup of that volume, right? And our customers do this every hour, sometimes every day, every week, month, year, and so on.
Hey, Venky, a question that I get asked a lot dealing with customers is, everyone's kind of they've heard a lot from us, S3 optimization, the different tiers of storage there. And then they ask, well, if our EBS snapshots backed by S3, how does that work? Maybe you just want to touch on that a little bit from the product side, how we view that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I do get asked that question quite a bit. So EBS snapshots are stored on S3. So what happens when you create a snapshot is that we create in the background multiple small S3 objects that contain the information in the snapshot. So let's say you have a terabyte that you want a snapshot, then essentially we create maybe 1 million of these small blocks that will get stored in S3. Why that many blocks? The reason is that EBS snapshots are cost optimized. They are incremental in nature. So we don't store all the data for every backup. We only store what changed from the previous backup. In order for that to happen, we need to have an idea of which blocks are already there on S3, right? And we don't then duplicate those blocks and cost have a cost increase on your end. So we store uh, these snapshots as S3 blocks, and then we reference newer snapshots by going back to the older ones and making sure that we are not duplicating the blocks that are already there, right? And that's what provides you with the cost optimization. So snapshots are layered on top of S3, but that is a fairly complex layer that we need to manage in order to provide you with the cost savings that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, we do a lot of stuff on the back end for everyone to make it a little easier, right? It's no surprise. It's kind of a theme we like to put out here.
Yeah.
But, one of the first topics we thought would be really interesting for you to dive into with customers is about the snapshot archive function that recently released.
Yeah.
Maybe you just want to kind of chime in how you think that relates to cost optimization, and I'll add some of my thoughts too, but we're really excited about it.
Yeah, so the way to look at EBS Snapshots archive is in two ways. So what it is, I'll touch upon what it is, right? It is a full snapshot archive, meaning whereas the standard snapshots, the ones in the standard tier, are incremental, what you have in the archive tier are full, and there's a reason for that, and that's related to the first use cases all around compliance and regulatory reasons, right? So customers want to have full snapshots of let's say their monthly and yearly backups, and they don't want backward references to previous snapshots for various reasons, right? Including failures. If you don't want correlated failures, let's say one snapshot fails, multiple fail, right? So this full snapshot could be stored in the standard tier, but then it would be 75, I mean it'd be 4 times more expensive, right? So what we have done is we have made sure that we have given the lower storage costs so that customers can store their full snapshots in archive. That's one use case. The other one is essentially around your backups that you take on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, let's say, right? And you have these old snapshots sitting around, and you wonder, okay, which of these can I save costs on? That's where the archive tier comes in for certain set of snapshots that have a lot of changes. You can store those in archive tier as well and save on costs. So that's where the cost optimization angle comes in for archives.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And just to add a little quick color to that, I was engaging recently with one of my customers in the healthcare segment for public sector, and interesting use case where, they have to store data, like you said, compliance reasons, but they have to store data for like 5 to 10 plus years, organ
Yep.
donor registration information, things that like,
Right.
someone could be on that list for years and years, and matching
Mhm.
people up with success for that is a long-term process. So this new recent features really unlocked a way to save up to 75% on those old, on that old information that needs to stay, things that you can't just cycle out after 3 months, 6 months, like maybe you
3 months.
traditionally do with some cleanup. So love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if you said this, but it's up to 75% saving.
Yeah.
That's a big old number.
Yeah.
So today I really want to chat about as well how we identify which snapshots, because you undoubtedly, like you guys said at the start, customers take hundreds of snapshots. If they have hundreds of accounts and they are taking snapshots daily, that really adds up. So how do you know which snapshots to go into? And if you've also, just to throw out, if you just joined us halfway through this conversation, we're chatting all about snapshots, in case you didn't get that from the amount of times we're going to say snapshots. Don't put a drinking game around this episode, is what I would say. Okay, so yeah, let's dive into that. So what are the key, so you said about the key use cases for like compliance, but how is
Mhm.
it easy for customers to identify which snapshots they should move into this lower tier?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So here's how you need to look at what you have in terms of snapshots, and I'll touch upon some examples of our customers who are doing this. Right, one of our customers in the healthcare industry. So what they need to do is store the last snapshots of their volumes. So in this case, they have to store the C and D drives of virtual desktop images for all their contractors, right? They need to store these forever, right?
Right.
So these are last snapshots which don't have any volumes associated with them because you've cleaned up the project and you're done, right? So you can store these last snapshots in the standard tier, but you get 75% cost savings because these are pretty much full snapshots. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens is it's a very simple uh, API call that you make, and you move these snapshots to archive, and you save anywhere in the order of up to 75%. So this particular customer moved about 4 petabytes of data, and they're saving over $1 million in terms of costs,
Oh,
which is
wow.
pretty significant. Yes, and they're completely thrilled about it. They can use that that money that they save to go and get some of the other services. I mean, it's a big deal for them
Yeah,
that they're able to
I'd be
save
pretty
that
happy
much
with
in
that
terms of cost.
saving.
Yeah. So that's one, where it's all about these last snapshots of
Yeah.
volumes that you don't have. But then there are what we call these active lineages, volumes that are still active, and you're taking snapshots of those volumes, right? So there are some of these snapshots that you might want to archive, um, and some that you don't want to, because it's not always that you get cost savings if
Mhm.
you don't have enough of a change in your snapshots. So the important piece here is that your snapshots need to have a lot of change from previous snapshots, and
Right.
so we are almost let's say 25% or more full in terms of the changes, right? Then you can move those to archive, and you can save on costs. So I think the big uh, deal here is for you to be able to go and find out how
Yeah.
much a snapshot has changed from the previous snapshot. And if there's a lot of change, then we would recommend creating an archive of it and moving it into archive, as long as you need to store for 90 days or more, right? So
Mhm.
and we will touch upon how we go about doing this whole change rate calculations and so on.
Mhm.
But any Michael or anyone, do you have any questions there? Or
You just kind of touched on it a little bit. I think I wanted our customers to know, like similar to Glacier with S3, there's a duration of time where you want to keep this in, right, to hit your
yeah,
maximum returns. You don't want to be putting in here just to save 75% for something you hold for 45 days and
yeah,
then pay a prorated retrieval. So use case wise, just kind of button up on that. But yeah, otherwise, I think even if it's not changing a ton, like if you got something that's going to need to live for a really long time, you still will benefit from this. But to your point, right? If it's not changing a ton and it's something that's only going to live for like 6 months to 12 months, I mean,
yeah. So you want to be careful about that. So if you have, let's say, some automated tool that like a lifecycle manager that you're using from before, you need to make sure that you retain the snapshots for at least 90 days. Otherwise, what happens is, we modeled our snapshot archive after Glacier, for example, right? We use S3 underneath, S3 storage tiers, but we use some version of these storage tiers for our archive, and that's where the 90-day retention minimum comes from. Also, just so that you're aware, we expect these snapshots to be rarely restored or retrieved. So there is a restore cost associated to create your volumes. So that's something that we would want you to watch out for. Don't archive your daily snapshots if you can help it. Right?
Yeah. Bill, I know that you wanted to touch on data lifecycle management while we're on this topic.
Yeah, we're going to put that in the chat here for folks to look at. But as with any good cost optimization plan, you got to have hygiene on the front end, automation and governance, just similar to how you would have like tag policies and things like that to ensure you have good insights on your EC2 instances. We recommend using the data lifecycle manager to help automate, some of the retention time with your snapshots. So if you're in an organization and, like you don't have a retention policy that's using automation to make sure that things are falling within a certain time to live policy, check out the lifecycle management tool here in the chat and really start refining it that way. So it's like a good foundation piece before you start getting into archiving and some of the other things we're talking about.
Awesome. So we've kind of covered like when to use it. Also the idea of a great point about the retention, you have to have for a certain amount of days. Another caveat I think we mentioned was the goal of not really moving your first or your last snapshot. Is that right? Do you want to chat a bit about that?
Yeah, that's right. So the first snapshot of your volume is going to be a full snapshot. And what happens is that subsequent snapshots will reference this particular snapshot, right? And so what happens if you archive that snapshot is that you lose out on the cost savings that you'll get from the other snapshots referencing it. So when you archive a snapshot, all the bytes associated with that snapshot move into the archive tier, and there'll be nothing left in the standard tier for these references to form. So we recommend not archiving the first snapshot. Also, the last snapshot, which is the latest one, is what you likely need if, let's say, there's some problem with your volume, somebody corrupted a database, let's say, and you want to retrieve the latest snapshot to make up for it, right? I mean, you want that snapshot to be in the standard tier so that you can go create volume out of it. Now, if you archive it, what you need to do is first you need to pay to bring the snapshot back from archive to the standard tier, and then you'd need to hydrate that snapshot to create a volume. It also takes a bit of time, it could take several hours based on how big your snapshot is. So we generally say if you have this lineage of snapshots, don't archive the ones at the beginning, at the end. The ones in the middle, you can archive them as long as they have a good amount of change associated with them.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful just to know the gap ones. So there was, and I'm going to show the link again to this, which is my blog from reInvent, which is when me and Venky started talking, and it had a couple of key things to look out for of when you should be archiving. So what I'll do is I'll just run through them really quickly, and then Venky, if you want to kind of go into more detail about them, but there were three main ways in which we said that you could do it. And I'm putting it up so I can read exactly from my document. So if you're currently moving your snapshots to S3 for backups, then look at archive. If you're creating standalone AMIs and want to keep a gold image, and before you make the AMI, you want to take a snapshot of that and move it so it's out the lineage. If you have an unattached volume and you want to snapshot it for compliance reasons, you want to move it into the lower tier. And you already mentioned this one kind of thing when you're at the end of a project and you want to make sure that you have a backup of that. But if I covered those, do they make sense? The AMI, the EBS one is probably one of my favorites because now, I mean, people that we've spoken about EBS before a few times on the show, and we have a thing that we look at, which you can do in my another lab that I made, which is a way of looking at all your EBS volumes and the ones that are unattached. And so I constantly like to bring up the fact that now what you can do is not only, if you have this unattached volume, you're not really sure what to do with it, snapshot it and then put it in archive. Like move it, like, because it's going to be a single snapshot. It's probably not got any lineage. Just move it all the way over. But does that sound right? Have I covered everything?
Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, that's a great summary. Yes.
And we've had a question. I'll throw this up now. Why are snapshots incremental? You kind of covered this, but I don't know if you want to go into detail why what archive snapshots are not incremental.
Yeah, so I think again, the first version of what we have released is going to, it's the full snapshot. We needed to start somewhere, right? The problem with incremental archives is that we really need to make sure that when you're restoring snapshots, right, to create volumes, you give a restore time that is in the order of a few hours or days. You don't want to have several weeks. Now, what happens in the archive tier is it's difficult to it takes time to get these objects back. Let's say you archive something that has 100 links, right? 100 snapshots, right? Associated with it. In order to restore a single volume out of these 100 snapshots, you need to restore all of them from archive. The restore times just multiply, right? If I was earlier, doing this in one day for a snapshot, now I'll have to take maybe 100 days, in order to do it. It may not be that bad, and we are trying to figure out how to optimize the restore times, right? So that's where most of our, so we looked at it and we said, well, we can't solve this restore problem in time in order for us to go and get these cost savings going for our customers, right? So have we thought through and what to do in the future? This is one of the things we certainly plan to look into because we have a lot of customers asking for it. Right? Cool. It's a question of optimizing the restore times.
Yeah, awesome. And then from the same guy, we've got, or person, sorry, we have another question. So not sure why daily snapshots would be a problem. Daily snapshots doesn't imply daily restore. So maybe if you go into a little bit more detail about why daily snapshots are best for archive.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. Again, it's not so much about the restores. Snapshots in general are backups, so very rarely customers restore them. It's got to do with the fact that these snapshots are full, right? And daily snapshots don't change enough for you to go and put them into archive. Now, if we take a look at monthly snapshots, on an average, they have enough change rate in order to make it useful for you to move these into archive, right? We suggest 25% change rate on these snapshots. So most daily snapshots are way below that, So on an average, they'll be less than 1%, right? So you don't want to go and create a full snapshot every time, right? And until we have incremental archives, it won't probably make sense to go and archive these daily snapshots.
Right. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thank you for your questions. I also misread the name and I thought that said, why is bot not allowed? And I thought this was a bot account. And then I realized it was Bob. So thanks, Bob. Hopefully that is your name. Okay. Yes. Next. So I'm just aware of time and I do want to cover another announcement that covered at reInvent. So the links that we'll share in YouTube afterwards are the ones we've had on the chat, which cover a lot of the resources we've covered. So if you want to reread it and share that, we'll put that on YouTube. But Venky, tell us about Recycling Bin.
Yeah, so Recycle Bin is another important enterprise feature, and a lot of enterprises ask for archives. They also ask for Recycle Bin, which protects our customers from accidental deletions of snapshots, and also the Amazon Machine Images armies as well, right? So what happens is sometimes users just delete the wrong snapshots, or worse, there are times when customers have runaway scripts and they come and tell us, we deleted 58,000 of our snapshots, and can you go and recover them for us? And snapshots are generally the last things between a business going under, because and continuity, right? Because those are the last set of backups that you have. And imagine if you go and delete all of them, because of a script error or whatever, right? And we have had many such instances. And what customers want is a deterministic way to go and recover these snapshots. So what Recycle Bin does is it takes all your deleted snapshots and keeps them in a recoverable state, if you will, right? So that you can recover them anytime after a delete, after an accidental delete. So generally, customers keep these around for maybe 3 to 7 days, right? And once they figure out their error, they can go and restore their recover their snapshots.
Yeah, if they
But
need
believe
to.
it or not, it's a very useful tool, and we have seen a ton of adoption for it. Just because this safeguards customers against accidental deletes.
Yeah, that's useful. Go on, Biddle. Oh, sorry, I was going to say something.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, look, I just look at it from the optimization angle, right? Not too much here in terms of like saving a bunch of money on the bill itself, but it's one of those business agility, like save you a lot of stress, mitigate against future risk. So really just, yeah, we're glad that we have this came out. I know I've been working on a PowerPoint before and accidentally deleted it and had to go to my recycle bin on my desktop. So there you go.
Yeah. No, and just on the cost optimization part, I mean, we we have two settings. One is an account level, which saves all the snapshots in recycle bin on delete. But there are some cost conscious customers who want to tag some snapshots and say that we want to move only these mission critical snapshots to recycle bin, right? We provide that feature as well, where we provide tag based rules, which say if your snapshots are tagged with XYZ tag, then move them into recycle bin. Otherwise, don't. Right? That saves costs for customers. Just so that they can keep their mission critical snapshots alone.
Yeah, I remember when I was a customer doing a lot of cleanup, getting rid of a load of snapshots, and there was that anxiety around, okay, I'm going to just delete all this stuff. And from the names of it, from the time it was taken, it looks like it's not needed. It was probably a Jira backup from 2015. I refer to that Jira backup all the time. But it's one of those things you're like, oh, I'm a bit worried about it. Okay, let me put it in the recycling bin, put it somewhere safe, and then it can timely just move through and be released from our account. We've got a couple of minutes left. Venky, I know that you wanted to bring up a new tool that you were talking to us about. Do you want to share a bit about that?
Yeah, so I mentioned that the best snapshots to archive are the ones that have 25% change rate over previous snapshots. The question that most customers ask us is how do we do this easily, right? You have a way to do it using EBS direct APIs, which help you deep dive into each snapshot, figure out the number of blocks in the snapshot, how much a snapshot changed from a previous one, and so on. But we want to also make it easy for customers to consume this in a simpler manner. So we are going to provide a tool, and we are running an alpha of it right now. And once it's ready, we'll release it to customers. But what it does is it takes all the snapshots in your account, analyzes them, and tells you which ones have enough change rates so that you can go and archive these snapshots. So I think it will be of great use to a lot of customers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to trying this out. I am excited by this thing. So if you want more information, you can email Venky down there if you want to find out a bit more. If you want to email us in general, then as always, costoptimization.com. Okay, that is it. We've got 1 minute left. I think that's all we've got time for this week. So thank you so much, Venky, for joining us. Any questions, as always, like I said, email us or email him on the email we just shared. Next week, we are talking about the new carbon footprint reporting tool that you may have seen appear in your billing dashboard and want to learn how to use it, how to read it. We're going to be chatting about that. But as always, everyone have a great week, and we'll see you here next week.
Yeah.